Okay, so get this. Right. We're talking about a potential $13 million per Bitcoin.
Wow.
Yeah, you heard that right. No typo here.
Okay.
$13 million. Even just like saying it out loud kind of makes my head spin, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
And obviously, we're going to be a little skeptical here, right? But that's what makes this whole deep dive so interesting, right?
Right.
We're diving into Michael Saylor's prediction, and trust me, this guy's not just some random voice on the internet, you know?
Oh, I know who he is.
So he's the CEO of MicroStrategy. Basically, they've gone all in on Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Like we're talking hundreds of millions of dollars worth. So when Saylor talks about Bitcoin, people listen.
They do. Yeah.
Or the article we're diving into lays out his whole argument. So
Okay.
think of it like our treasure map for this whole deep dive.
Right. I like it.
I like it. So to even get our heads around like a $13 million Bitcoin,
Yeah.
we've got to start with where this whole thing started.
Okay.
Cast your mind back to 2009, right? Bitcoin was this like obscure little project worth basically nothing.
Right.
Fast forward a decade, and it's making headlines, it's sparking debates, and oh yeah, it's making some absolutely insane returns.
For sure.
Like we're talking a 230% average annual return over those first 10 years.
Really?
Imagine seeing that on a stock ticker, right?
It's more than just the numbers, though. What's captivating about Bitcoin is like its value isn't tied to the usual things. You know, like it's not like a government saying this is worth something or it's backed by gold or whatever. It's all about scarcity.
Right.
Only 21 million Bitcoins will ever exist.
Right.
That's
Yeah.
it. That's built into the code. So as demand goes up, right, and that supply stays the same,
Right.
well, you can see how the price starts to climb. And that's a core part of Saylor's argument, right? Bitcoin is this like digital scarcity in a world that's like drowning in fiat currency.
So it's like digital gold? Is that
Yeah.
kind of the...
Kind of, yeah.
Okay.
That limited quantity thing makes sense.
Yeah.
But instead of, bars in Fort Knox, it's ones and zeros locked away in the digital world, yeah.
Yeah. And getting back to Saylor, I mean, it's one thing to just talk about digital gold, right? It's another thing to actually bet your company on it.
Oh, for sure. And Saylor's not just, dipping his toes in the water here. MicroStrategy owns something like 252,000 Bitcoins.
Wow.
That's not just an investment, it's a statement.
Mm-hmm.
Makes you think, right?
Mm.
If someone with that much business savvy is willing to go all in,
Yeah.
maybe there's more to this whole thing than it seems. And it goes beyond just, one CEO, right?
Right.
Think about the ripple effect here. When a company like MicroStrategy, a publicly traded company, makes Bitcoin a key part of their strategy,
Right.
it forces others to take notice.
Yeah, for sure.
Suddenly, you've got institutional investors, hedge funds.
Right.
They're all asking themselves, are we missing out on something here?
Yeah.
And then you've got these giants like BlackRock,
Oh, yeah.
literally the world's largest asset manager, filing for a Bitcoin ETF. That's huge.
It's a big deal.
The seismic shift.
So it's like this quiet revolution is happening in finance, and we're just like catching the tail end of it.
Exactly. And it's a revolution that's being fueled by some really powerful macroeconomic forces.
Yeah.
Think about the world today. You've got inflation eating away at people's savings.
Yeah.
Central banks are printing money like it's going out of style.
Right.
And it creates this uncertainty, uncertainty around traditional currencies.
For sure.
And when that happens, people start looking for alternatives. They start looking for safe havens.
Yeah.
And Bitcoin, with that limited supply, its decentralized nature, well, that starts to look pretty good.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got the scarcity, we've got these big players entering the game, and we've got like the entire global economy as the backdrop.
Yeah.
No wonder things are getting interesting.
It's exciting. And the article brings up this like really telling example. Remember back in 2024 when the Fed cut interest rates?
Oh, yeah. Everyone and their mother had an opinion on that one.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, within a week of that announcement,
Yeah.
over $321 million flowed into Bitcoin.
Wow.
Think about that. The speed, the scale of that movement.
Yeah, it's incredible.
That just shows how sensitive Bitcoin is to these big global events.
It's like the entire crypto market is holding its breath, waiting to see which way the wind blows.
Exactly. And it's not always predictable which way it's going to go.
That's the understatement of the year, right? I mean, for every Bitcoin bull out there, there's someone like shouting from the rooftops about its downfall.
Right.
What about all the regulations? That's going to play into this whole thing, right?
Oh, absolutely. Regulation is the other side of the coin here.
Right.
It's a wild west out there, and governments are kind of scrambling to figure out what to do with it.
Yeah.
Some see Bitcoin as this threat. Others see it as an opportunity. It's all over the place, really.
Yeah, take China, for example.
Right.
They cracked down on Bitcoin mining, what was it, back in 2021?
Yeah,
But then they turned around and launched their own digital currency.
exactly.
It's like trying to predict the weather in a hurricane,
Yeah, it's tough.
And on top of all that, we can't forget about like the competition within the crypto space itself,
Oh,
right?
for sure.
I
Yeah.
mean, Bitcoin may be the biggest name out there, but there's a whole ecosystem
Uh,
of cryptocurrencies.
a whole bunch of them.
Yeah, each with his own strengths and weaknesses.
Of course, yeah.
It's like choosing which tech stock to invest in back in the early days of the internet.
Right.
Do you go with the established player or take a gamble on the underdog?
Yeah.
Except in this case, it feels like the stakes are even higher? And of course, we can't like gloss over the whole environmental impact thing.
Right.
Bitcoin mining, it uses a ton of energy. There's just no getting around that.
Yeah, it's a real concern.
It's a big one, especially if you're, someone who's trying to live sustainably and all that.
Totally. It's like this, almost like a classic double-edged sword, right? You got this, essentially revolutionary technology,
Right.
but then you have this environmental cost that comes along with it.
Yeah.
It's a question of priorities, and I think it's something that everyone kind of has to grapple with on their own.
Okay, so we've covered a lot, from Bitcoin's early days to Saylor's prediction to all this stuff that's shaping its future. But let's bring it back to you, listening right now. This isn't just about like some abstract financial game, right? This is about the future of money, potentially. What happens if our current system, with all its, inflation and central banks and everything,
Right.
what if it's just not working the way it used to?
That is the million-dollar question, isn't it? And whether Bitcoin hits $13 million or not, I think the trends that we're seeing that shift towards digital assets, people questioning the traditional financial systems, I don't think that's going away.
Yeah, it's like we're all standing on the edge of like this new frontier and nobody really knows what's on the other side.
Exactly. And that's the beauty of a deep dive like this, right?
Mhm.
We're not giving you the answers. We're giving you something, I think, even better, which is questions, things to think about, research, debate with your friends, because in a world that's changing this fast, I think the most valuable skill is being able to think for yourself.
So to wrap up, here's a thought-provoking question from the article. Imagine, just for a second, that Saylor's right, at least to some degree. Let's say Bitcoin or something like it does become a major, major player in the global economy. What would that world actually look like? What kind of opportunities would it create? What kind of new challenges would we all be facing? Those are questions worth thinking about, even if you're not, ready to like go all in on Bitcoin just yet. Because one thing's for sure, the future of finance is being written right now, and it pays to stay curious. Until next time, keep exploring.